Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV here, live from the Yarrington studios in Shrewsbury. Chris is getting his steps in today, definitely. Now, Ed and Thomas, who was with us a little bit earlier, talking about his role at Visit Shropshire. We've now been joined by Dilwyn from Sabrina Boat in Shrewsbury, brilliantly branded, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the great visitor attractions and success stories of the Shrewsbury tourism economy, I guess. And I saw you the boat being lifted out of the water a few days ago. And is that always a bit of a nervy thing?
It is a bit nervy because there are a number of elements that are out of my hands. So the river levels and the temperatures so the paint can dry properly. The wind has to be under 15 mile an hour, and then you need to get everyone to sort of come on the same day, all the engineers and the cranes. So I'm always super pleased when that's done.
It's a visitor attraction of its own right, the day when it's happening, though, isn't it? Because so many people come up and want to see it all going on, don't they?
Everyone loves it, other than me. It's all right. It's all back in now. So it's had its MOT and stuff. So we're all good to go.
So from your point of view, when it's back in the water, that's the bit you really enjoy.
It's great. A couple of beers at night, all's good.
Tell us about Sabrina Boat then. How's it been? How's it been since COVID, and what's it like at the moment?
Yeah, it's been an interesting time, isn't it? We've done 13 seasons, or I've done 13 seasons. I bought it in 2010. The COVID year, the first one was dreadful, and I think, irrespective of the government, I thought they were generous, we still lost thousands. It was a tough old year, that was. And I think if that would have been earlier in my development, i.e. sort of 2013, 14, it probably would have shut us down, to be honest. But 2021, you lose track of time a little bit with COVID, don't you?
You do.
2021 was a good year, and last year a good year as well. So we bounced back pretty well, I think. Hopefully.
Has it built back the same way that it was building before? Are you getting the same kind of visitors, spending the same kind of time and money then?
We lost a lot on coaches, groups and coaches. We're still down a little bit on that. We usually do, 300 coaches in a year. We are probably 30 or 40% back on the 2019 levels. With regards to visitor numbers, I thought, Shrewsbury did a lot of promotion in terms of trying to get people, and a lot of staycation. I thought it did really well in 2021. And we had all that dry weather, didn't we? And last year, I think it's there or thereabouts. I think the model of the visitor has changed slightly. I think more people were supporting local. There's more staycation going on. I don't know what's going to happen this year. It's a real conundrum how to work out this year, really. But
what's your gut feeling, Ed, about how this year's going to be for tourism?
I think that if I think about my own business, we're seeing pretty healthy booking inquiries. So that's really good. But of course, people are counting the pennies. So it's just thinking about maybe a weekend away becomes a day trip, and just editing down slightly. Although of course, Sabrina, you only need to come on a day trip, and that fits really nicely. Although of course, if people are in the county for a little bit longer, that's one thing they can do along with many others.
Where have you got people coming from then? Is it locals using your service? Do you get people from further distance? Or?
It changes depending on school holidays. The demographic changes. School holidays is a lot more sort of 70% local probably, and same with the Easter period as well. Other than that, you're looking about sort of it's mostly, I'd say, within 2.5 hour. Sort of circle, if you like, of Shrewsbury, I would say. So we get a lot from the Wirral, Liverpool, as far down as Bristol, Gloucestershire, and we do get people staying from further afield, but I still think they are probably 70-75% of our market, I would have thought.
And you've got your day cruises, but then you also do special events as well, don't you?
We do, yeah. So in the evenings especially, we either do these things called theme nights, where it's ticketed events, or we do private hire as well. So the private hire, one person would hire the whole thing for a 40th or a celebration or a wedding or something like that. But the theme nights, we try and mix them up, and we try and do it so people can come on, whether they want 2 tickets, 4 tickets, or 6 tickets, whatever they want to do. It'll be like an event, like you go to the theatre or something. So we'd have specific nights. And it's just down to demand, really. Things like Mamma Mia always goes down well, sort of, you know.
That rocks the boat a bit.
Rocks the boat.
Yeah.
Motown is another very successful one. We do cheese and wine evenings, like tasting events, or gin. We do quizzes, we do comedy nights, all those sorts of things, mealing cruises. I'm
thinking like an Agatha Christie Death on the Nile style.
Yeah.
Do that. Have you done one of those?
Yeah.
As a murder
We
mystery
had one of
night?
those. That's interesting, actually. We had one of those planned at the COVID year, and we had to cancel it, and we haven't come back to that. But yes,
Could be something
that
to
sort
do.
of thing is quite.
Yeah.
Because you presumably what you need to do is work the asset 24/7 as much time as it's on the water as possible, don't you? Because you're constrained by the fact you've got one boat and you need to.
We do,
working.
and actually, for a third of the year during the winter, we don't operate. So we're back in March. You have a couple of sort of low season months, you know, March and April. You know, you're breaking even a bit better than that, perhaps. And then June, July, August, September. You know, you got to
That's
really
your Christmas,
maximise it.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
you got it busy all the time. You know, 7 days a week. We run 6-7 trips every day, and then the nights as well with the private hires and stuff. So you really got to pack it in.
What about fuel costs and overheads and all of that? I mean, that's a fair chunk of what you had to soak up, isn't it?
Yeah, fuel's an interesting one actually because it's a passenger boat. It runs on red diesel. But the month before COVID, it was 32p a litre. Last year it peaked at 123, I think it was.
Right.
So it's quadrupled,
Yeah.
almost in price. But yeah, we're lucky that the government haven't changed. They did some changes with regards to you know, fuel and diesel, and construction industry got hit very hard because they had to switch to white diesel, etc. But we, fingers crossed, we're
Very
still.
on that one.
You'll know that from wearing both hats, won't you? I presume. So.
Absolutely. So literally overnight or over the course of a weekend, everything on a construction site was no more red diesel, white only. And of course, it's not just the cost then of the fuel going into the machines on site. You've also got to secure it so much better, because white diesels, you know, you can steal red diesel and find somewhere for it to go, but white diesel is you can, you know, that's it's a desirable asset.
Yeah, so you have to be really careful. The river's rather unpredictable, Dilwyn. So you've got the flooding season. We've even had floods. How can I say that? We've even had floods in June, I remember, a few years ago.
We have actually, you're right.
So does that cause you an issue? Of course, if we have no rain, droughts, you know, is that another problem?
Well, there's the whole debate of whether the river should be sort of cleaned out and dredged and stuff like that. But generally speaking, we've got certain channels. If we had no rain, we know our paths and where we can go with, you know, we've tested all the depths and we know where we can. But the riverbed is moving, you know, and it is getting worse. You know, how long we can do the sort of trips we're doing. The river loop isn't too bad. There's some shallows right by Victoria Quay there, but going upstream, so when we go upstream on our longer cruises, the evening ones are 3 hours, and we go upstream past the showground, you know, and that's getting tighter and tighter, really. So I usually don't mind. Like last year was a very dry summer. Fantastic. For me, it means people make plans, don't they, when it's dry?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and they'll come on a day trip and stuff. The flooding causes more issues for us because...
Are those issues with the river and dredging, and could that be easily solved? Would that cost an absolute
Well, I think it
zillion
could
pound
be.
fortune?
But it's obviously more complicated than that. But the thing is, every time it floods, and it floods pretty... There's a big flood most years now.
Yeah.
You know, if you only need to look around Frankwell, you know, I was in Shrewsbury Marine, their boatyard there, you should see the sand, you know, that's been moved around. So obviously if that's coming off the fields, you know, the channel becomes smaller and the capacity is less, isn't it? So, and then things like the bridges become more of an obstacle because, you know, 20 or 30% of it is blocked up by sand, so and silt. So they do need to look at it. I think that they're trying to do things, but I suppose it's a big problem, isn't it? You know, it's not just Shrewsbury here. There's many parts to the solution. But flooding is the biggest issue for us. We can run to a certain level, but it's, you know, it limits where we can go. We do push the boundaries more than what the previous guys that used to own the boat back in 2010. But you know, there becomes a level when you can't get the boat out safely, and then you have to hit bridges dead central, otherwise it takes the roof off. So
it's very skilled, isn't it? I guess. And is it called? Is it what do you call them? Pilots?
Yeah, you can call them pilot or a skipper, a captain. Yeah.
Call them something else if they don't get the bridge right. I imagine.
Pardon?
Call them something else if they don't get the bridge
I
line
definitely
right.
could.
So,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they train. They have a qualification that they usually obtain here in Shrewsbury. We usually train them up ourselves. We've got 3 or 4 that we're training at the moment. It's not like I've got, for instance, a couple of people that have got their qualification now, and they did their training here in Shrewsbury, but they're not, you know, if we had any flooding or any flow or any wind, actually, as much as anything, I don't think I'd want to leave them just yet. So yes, they can drive, but, you know, how safely they can drive when conditions are a little bit different. What's
the big plan then going forward? Does Sabrina need a brother, a sister, a different location? How do you take the business on? What are you looking to do?
I mean, the thing with Sabrina, it has got a capacity. So, you know, when you've got a boat like that and you've got a certain season to work to, you are sort of trying to rinse, you know, your 5 and 10% here and there. And it was interesting last year, because of the lockdown at Christmas, we had a lot of corporate events. I mean, a lot, noticeably more than any other year. And that's a market we can tap into. Believe it or not, things like weddings and, you know, even things like wakes and stuff, you know, you have to make sure you can sort of maximise that time. We do have a smaller boat. We have a picnic boat, or what we call the picnic boat, which is 10-seater. We privately hire that. We use it for river taxis and some council work as well. Whether you put another boat on there, you know, I always thought about, you know, I always fancied a static boat behind us and just as a restaurant on the river.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
But again, it's not deep enough there. So then you'd have to channel all that out, and then would you get that through with the Environment Agency and stuff?
Are there other parts of Shropshire you could do it? Ironbridge, Bridge?
We looked at, they used to have a boat in Ironbridge actually, but you know, if we think we suffer from flooding,
that's true.
you know, it's another level there when it goes up because it channels.
How important is the river from a Shropshire tourism point of view, promotion point of view? Then?
I mean, the river is the kind of the original motorway or a road of the county. So you know, talking about Bridge North, Ironbridge through to Shrewsbury, I think it's really important. So you've got the towns, the villages along the route, places to stop off, and everything that they have to offer, as well as the natural beauty of the river itself. So it's a fantastic.
Food and drink venues along the river as well. You know, on a nice sunny day, it's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's interesting, Shrewsbury. You know, because we've got the quarry, it makes our town and the river very special. You know, to have a park like that right in the centre of the town, you know, something staggering. Even when I'm going around, I still think, oh, this is nice actually. And when we go upstream, before you know it, you're right in the countryside, but it's still kind of Shrewsbury. But I think Shrewsbury, the river just adds a certain amount of charm, doesn't it, into an evolving sort of world that retail's changing, isn't it? You know, so you need natural beauty, you need history, you need heritage, you need all these things, which luckily, if you think about some of like Bridge North, Ironbridge, Shrewsbury, they've all got a little bit about them. So they'll survive quite well, I think, even though things are massively changing.
Yeah.
Well, it's half-term week. I better let you get back to it. I guess it's a busy week for you, isn't it, this?
We don't start till next week.
Oh, but it's prepping, is it?
So it's all about the maintenance and
Prepping,
marketing and all that sort of stuff at the moment. But
well, you're looking very calm. It looks like everything's under control. And from your point of view, a busy time for you to just sort of learn the ropes and get to know your job a little bit more.
So getting only, as I said earlier, 2 or 3 weeks in, so getting to grips with everything. But we're really looking forward to being involved in the Shropshire Business Festival, which takes place on the 28th of March. So as part of the festival, or kind of just before the festival, and then linking together, the Visit Shropshire Tourism Expo is going to be taking place,
which you're exclusively revealing today.
Which is absolutely we're sharing with the whole wide world here on Shropshire Day on Shropshire Business Live TV.
So what will that be then? That's like an afternoon, late morning, early afternoon
Yeah,
expo,
so
really,
so it's the
Wrekin College.
The tourism bit will run between 12 and 3. So it's obviously aimed at businesses in the tourism sector, although everyone is welcome. We've got a speaker from Visit England coming. We're going to talk about Shropshire Council's destination management consultation that's open at the moment, and we're going to be sharing some of our thoughts and ideas for some of the marketing campaigns we've got coming up during the rest of 2023 and actually going forward as well.
Brilliant. If people want to find out any more about it, where do they go?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you might not even be able to book yet. So if you search for the Shropshire Business Festival, I mean, to be honest, you may as well go to that as well. I'm sure if you sign up for one, we'll let you into one or the other.
It's everywhere, isn't it? And we've got it on Shropshire Business website. It's on Shropshire Live as well, isn't it? So everywhere.
Absolutely.
Gents, thanks for coming in.
Brilliant.
Great to see you, and
Thank
let's
you,
hope
Carl.
the weather forecast is favourable for the next few
Yes,
weeks.
thank you very much.
Thank you.